So you're new to Genshin, and as you're playing, you're finding out that all these different elements have different reactions with each other. And in this video, we're going to talk about the Hyperbloom reaction. Now, in this video, I am going to go a little bit more in detail with artifact sets and how to buff and debuff the stats that you need for Hyperbloom. This is going to be a little bit more detailed than my other elemental reaction videos, but that's because I love Hyperbloom. I love playing Hyperbloom. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so in order to do Hyperbloom, you need to, of course, have Dendro characters and Hydro characters to create the bloom, as well as the Electro character to trigger the Hyperblooms. You have to hit the blooms with Electro to trigger the Hyperblooms. So for our Electro character, we're going to have, of course, Kuki Shinobu, who is one of my favorite characters. Then we're going to have Nahida and Kale as our Dendro characters, and I have them both here for a reason. One is because of Dendro Resonance. It'll get up the whole party's elemental mastery, which is great, and I'll explain why in just a second. And then for our Hydro to create the blooms, we do have the always wonderful Fish Lady Kokomi. Now, one of the reasons that I specifically have Kale and Nahida is that Nahida has 4-piece Deepwoods, and I'll explain what that means later on. But Kale does not have 4-piece Deepwoods on purpose. And that is to show kind of the base damage of Hyperbloom before we start working on debuffing the enemy or making the enemy weaker to Hyperbloom. I kind of want to show the difference and why Deepwoods is so good to have. In the reaction for Hyperbloom, just like Bloom and Burgeon, the level of the character triggering the Hyperbloom matters most. So Kuki is level 90. Next, we have her elemental mastery, which is at 885. Those two stats at a base level are what contribute to increase the damage of Hyperbloom. So we want a high level as high as possible and as high elemental mastery as possible. Those are the two most important things. So on Kuki, we do have a level 90 R5 Iron Sting, which its main stat is elemental mastery. Again, trying to get that elemental mastery up. And then for an artifact set, I am running 4-piece Fopple, Flowers of Paradise Lost. And I'll talk more about the artifact sets later in the video and the different viable artifact sets for Hyperbloom and Burgeon. So first, we are going to, of course, make blooms. We have to hit the enemy with Dendro and Hydro to create the blooms. We are gonna use Kale without 4-piece Deepwoods. And you're gonna see that we're hitting right around 25,000 up to into like 27,000 sometimes. But it's gonna be staying in the 25 to 26,000. The reason it changes a little bit is because of Flowers of Paradise Lost. That artifact set does have a stacking effect with triggering the reactions. So that's why it's gonna go up, and if I don't do it for a little while, it's gonna get back down. But it's still gonna be staying around that 25,000 to 26,000, even peaking into 27,000 at some instances. So enemies can only take 2 instances of this Hyperbloom damage every half second. Kuki's skill pulses once every 1.5 seconds, so we don't have to worry about that unless we're creating a ton of blooms, and there's only one enemy. So if you're fighting a boss that you've somehow created 4 blooms off of, and you trigger all 4 of them at the same time, the enemy will only be hit by 2 of them. They will not take the instance, it just won't happen, nothing will be done to them. So if you don't position correctly, you can be losing damage. That's why Raiden is better at triggering Hyperblooms with her skill than Kuki is, because you can trigger more blooms every half second or just attack every half second and get the full amount of damage from the Hyperblooms, whereas Kuki, if you don't position yourself correctly, you're going to be wasting some of those blooms because they can only be hit twice every half second. Now with that being said, we're going to swap to using Nahida to finish these enemies off. So Nahida has the 4-piece Deepwood set. And if we look at it, whenever you use a skill or burst, it is going to decrease the enemy's resistance to Dendro. So we're going to close this and we're going to go back to these enemies and we're going to finish them off using Nahida. And you're going to notice that the damage from the Hyperblooms is going to spike. It's going to be much higher. So as you can see, we apply Dendro with Nahida, we create the blooms, we trigger the Hyperblooms, and instead of 25 to 26,000, we are getting 32,000. So we're going to go back into this domain and we are going to do this with Nahida to get the full bonus. We're going to use her burst, we're going to use her skill, we're going to use Deepwoods, we're going to use Kale's burst because my Kale is C6, and we'll give him more of an EM, and we're going to see how much damage we can hit with these Hyperblooms. How much damage? I'm looking for it. And we are getting close to 36,000 using all of these buffs to get the damage up. That is with the Flowers of Paradise Lost stacks, that is with Deep Woods, that is with Nahida's burst, that is with Kale's burst from Kale's passive because she's C6, that is with everything. We are hitting a lot of damage with these Hyperblooms. The highest that I think I saw was about 37,000, which is, again, just crazy that you can hit that on normal enemies, right? That's crazy. Okay, so now we're going to talk about artifact sets. And I said earlier that I have 4-piece Flowers of Paradise Lost on my cookies. Now, this is technically Hyperbloom's best artifact set. But there is a caveat, and if I don't say that caveat, my community member Zucchini is going to kill me, so I'm going to point it out, okay? Flowers of Paradise Lost is in a domain that does not have a good return. It is paired with, I think, Desert Pavilion, which is not that good of an artifact set. So you're also grinding out Flowers of Paradise Lost for like a 5% maximum damage increase at most compared to like Gilded Dreams. So Flowers of Paradise Lost is not a great artifact set to try to get for your Hyperbloom character. Now you might be saying, why did I get it? Well, because it's purple and green and it matches Kuki, okay? I had to have the set that matched my Hyperbloom trigger, that matched Kuki. It looks so good on Kuki, though. So, like, you can't blame me. But other than that, Gilded Dreams is going to be an overall better set because Gilded Dreams is in the same artifact domain as Deep Woods. So if you're grinding out Deep Woods for your Dendro character, so that way you can get the Dendro resistance drop on your enemy, you're going to be getting Gilded Dreams anyway. So you're going to have that artifact set much more readily available and more accessible to you than something like Flowers of Paradise Lost. So definitely don't use Flowers of Paradise Lost unless you're just trying to do what I did and match Kuki's color, or in case you're wanting to get that extra little 5% damage increase, right? Gilded Dreams is going to be phenomenal. And if we read the 4-piece set, I'm going to step over here. If we read the 4-piece set, within 8 seconds of triggering an elemental reaction, the character equipping this will obtain buffs based on elemental types. We don't care about the attack one, but for every differing elemental type in your party, you will get an elemental mastery buff. So in this particular party, if I was running 4-piece Gilded on Kuki, I would be getting 150 elemental mastery from the 4-piece set and another 80 from the 2-piece set. That's 230 elemental mastery. That's just going to be added to Kuki. Now, another way to get elemental mastery higher for your party is going to be like the 4-star instructor set. Now, if I would have had the instructor set on Kale or Coco, then the 4-piece set of giving 120 EM to every party member when causing an elemental reaction would have just given Kuki another 120 EM, meaning that her damage is just going to go up even higher. Having those 3 artifact sets is how you can increase the overall damage from the Hyperblooms, because you're going to be getting much more elemental mastery on Gilded, a drop in the Dendro resistance on Deep Woods, and instructor set is just going to be giving more and more elemental mastery to the whole party, and you want it the most on the Electro character. And that is how you increase your damage, which is what the original comment asked about that I'm using to make this video. That is how you increase your damage. Deep Woods, instructor set, Gilded Dreams, build up as much elemental mastery and have the highest level character of the triggering character, in this case Electro. You want them to be as high a level as possible. That is how you do it. That is going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, you be sure to leave it in the comments. Myself or somebody else will be sure to answer it, and I will see you in the next video.